crew's gathering. There's half a dozen of us here, including the voiceless server, who never has a voice, but transmits it to you good people out there. There's over 60 people on the live stream. That antiquates to the media numbers of over 100,000 average monthly viewers. That's right, over 100,000 average monthly viewers. Okay, I know we only do a couple of hours a week, but yeah, that's how they work out the numbers. But we like to get the truth as best and as clear as we can. That antiquates to 63 people live. So at one point there, we just actually topped the BBC. Well done. Well done to all concerned. Anyway, without a further ado, it's from our Dawn, from the beloved Darkcity crew. Dawn, are you with us? Are you ready to fire?
Ready as I'll ever be. Hello, everybody. I don't really like the way you said I was hosting it, because I'm not actually hosting it. It's more just like a conversation that we're going to have about this subject.
Well, you be mother for the evening. You're serving the tea. You're keeping order amongst the rabble that has gathered.
Yeah, pretty much. If there's any kind of fighting going on, then I'll just keep things calm and pleasant. Nice atmosphere. Yeah. So, we were wanting to... Actually, it wasn't me that suggested this topic, but I agreed because, well, it's quite a controversial topic, really, Palestine-Israel conflict, and it's very relevant to what's going on in the world today as well. It has far-reaching consequences for everyone. And really, I've brought on I've got a special guest, Ruthann, and because she's quite knowledgeable in she's very interested in the whole Palestine-Israel conflict as well, so she'll be able to give some really interesting insight into her perspective. And it's really, we're not so much experts in this subject, so I'm going to have a disclaimer right away before we start off. We're not experts in the subject. We just want to share our views, our opinions, really, and have a big discussion about it and see what we can learn from each other, really, on the subject. So feel free, Ruthann, if you want to pipe in with anything that you're interested in about the subject. For example, what you feel about the Palestine-Israel situation. Or we could maybe just talk a bit about what you know, maybe about some of the history or of how it came about, or like what you understand is going on.
Well, I like the fact that you said that I'm no expert, or none of us are, because we aren't, and I don't know really what makes an expert anyway, but I think it's the people who are very passionate about a cause tend to know a bit more about it. And that's where I would put myself, because I am very passionate about it. And it has a lot to do with the popping in the bubble of anything that I may have thought that my country, the United States, stood for, because now I know better. And a lot of it is tied up with the Palestine-Israeli conflict. I think a good place to start probably is just like with the present and then go back, because I'm sure everybody, well, I take a lot for granted, so maybe not, but most of us anyway on the show right now are aware that in November, the UN, Palestine did get a vote that recognized them as a state. And that was, for some people, it's nothing, because we know that on many levels the UN means nothing, but still it's the worldwide body that has something like 190 some nations in it. So Palestine got 138 votes, 41 abstentions, 9 against, United States leading that, of course, United States and Israel. But it was really the first time, I think, that a lot of Palestinians, and those of us who are very pro-Palestine, actually saw a change, that these countries have seen what's going on and they recognized Palestine. So that was like one for us. Whether it means a lot or not, in a way it does, in another way it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But that was our latest victory, maybe. As far as the there was something in November also for 7 days called Operation Pillar of Defense.
Oh yes, I heard.
And that was another attack by the Israelis. And at the end of it, both peoples claimed victory. So that was sort of interesting. Although there were 6 Israelis killed and 133 Palestinians. So, you know,
it's quite a difference, isn't it, really?
The difference is always so great because the Palestinians don't have weapons as such.
Yes.
I mean, you know, they have a few things that have been smuggled in through tunnels from Egypt, things like that. But they have nothing. They have no helicopters. They have no drones. They have no missiles. They have no bombs.
They don't have a fully organized army like Israel does.
Well, you know, it's stones against white phosphorus, okay, which the Zionists used in the winter of 2008 and 9 for that.
Can I interject for a second? I think it's probably quite important that we explain for. I'm guessing the majority of people listening to us will probably know what Zionism is, but for the people that don't, it might be worthwhile trying to give them an idea of what it is exactly.
Well, Zionism, it isn't a religion. It is a political entity, and the word was thought up, or the movement was thought up, possibly in the earlier 1890s, but it was by 96 that Theodore Herzl really got the movement going. And
he was a journalist, wasn't he?
Well, the movement was to bring Jews to Palestine, basically, and so that
set up a state, homeland.
Yeah, they kept bringing people in. This was not something that just started in 1948, but they were immigrating way back. And did you know that there was even a time when it was mentioned that maybe they could establish a homeland in Uganda?
I heard there was a few different places they were considering.
Yeah.
About,
I mean,
setting up their homeland. But then they decided, obviously, in Palestine. But there's quite a history, and some of the history is actually quite confusing about it.
There's
about,
a lot
of the actual origins. There's a lot of evidence to suggest the Jewish people that now populate Israel. Originally, before they were in Europe, they were Middle Eastern people and they had brown skin, and then they emigrated north to Europe. There's links with, there's theories about Babylon, there's theories about them being Ashkenazi, some of them, there's theories about Khazars and all sorts, and I'm not really going to get into that because it's so complex a subject, and I'm not an expert.
And it depends. Well, I think it depends a lot on how much credence you give to biblical
myths and
history and that kind of thing. Because they the three religions, the Jewish, Islam, and Christianity, all seem to have found this common denominator, Abraham. And and then his son and his son. So Jacob, the grandson, was the one who had 12 sons, and that became the 12 tribes of Israel. And 10 of them disappeared.
It just opens a whole other kind of just something I don't really want to start going into because I don't know enough about it admittedly too.
They talk about
but what I do know. Well, obviously, when they moved from the Middle East up to Europe, some of the Jewish people decided to break from tradition of staying with their own kind and mated with white women, and then they had lighter skinned babies, and they spread out across Europe, and And then from there, basically, obviously, with the Holocaust and... okay, probably better to backtrack a bit, because back in the 1800s, I think it was about 1878, there was only 3% of the population of Palestine was Jewish people, and the other 96% were Arab Christians and Arab Muslims. Now, there's a couple of things that happened. Britain had made had made a promise to the Arabs and Palestine or something, that they would self-rule, and then the Balfour Resolution?
Declaration. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about that? What you know of that?
Well, that, as I understand it, I mean, now it was, but I don't think maybe that when it was made that they really thought that it would be misused, because the non-Jewish people were mentioned in it, and it said that, they would not be discriminated against. I'm paraphrasing, but it didn't sound so bad right then. But of course, we know that it wasn't lived up to. I think that was the problem with it. But
yes,
there were riots, well, right after it, and then the British Mandate of Palestine started in 1920, and so Britain was more or less in charge till 1948.
And then he handed it over to the UN, didn't they? They handed over responsibility to the UN, who then proceeded to give, I think at that time there was like a third of the population were Jewish, and 2/3 or just over 2/3 were Arab. Mm-hmm. And what the UN decided to do was give 56% of the land to the Jewish people, and even although I think it was 90% was owned by the Palestinians, and so only 8% was owned by the Jewish, that percent of the less fertile Arabs.
Right, so that was a horrible agreement anyway.
It wasn't a fair agreement. It was supposed to be like half and half.
Well, or if you just go by percentage-wise, if you've got 30% Jewish people, well, then make it 30%. But yeah, it should not have been so.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Unbalanced.
That would be a bit silly.
But that's what they did again. Jumping ahead into '67, when the lines were redrawn, such as they are now. I mean, that was totally wrong. But yet Palestinian people, many of them are willing to go back to that if they could only get like the settlements off their land and that type of thing. So I think that they're showing a lot of graciousness right there.
Just wanted to clarify something here. We're not bashing Jewish people, okay? There is a clear difference, and when we talk about Zionism, for a start, Zionism is not exclusive necessarily to all Jewish people, and Absolutely. Not all Zionists are Jews. So not all Jews are Zionists, and not all Zionists are Jews.
Yeah.
Zionists, again, must be emphasised as a political ideology, and the people in power of Israel, not everybody in Israel actually supports what the people in power of Israel are doing with the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. So there is victims on both sides here. Ultimately, there is a lot more victims on the Palestinian side, but I do want to emphasise that there is victims on both sides, and some are, there is people awake on the Israeli side and trying to do something about it, but at the same time, there is people that are kind of a bit brainwashed and really victims of that, as well.
Zionists are Jews, which is very true. There's a lot of like Christian Zionists in the United States, and there again, they're way over on the right. They're trying to bring about the apocalypse, Armageddon. They're religious. Fanatics or something, and so they're siding up with things they don't even agree with because they want this to come about, and they think that they can make it come about. So there's the Christian Zionists, and they are sort of scary actually, because they don't think. But you're right as far as being anti-Semitic, not a bit. One of my closest friends is a Jewish lady. And an ex of mine is Jewish. He used to sing at
some Jewish friends.
Early days, and I mean we're neither of us were religious. We were pagan, but he would, because he had a good voice, and he would sing and get paid good money and for singing there. But yeah, I mean I've known a lot of Jewish people, and I have nothing against them at all. So that's not what we're talking about. Just like there's a lot of good Americans that I have nothing against. However, I don't like our government here. And that's the way I feel about the government there. And the people in the power. And they have been brainwashed, and they're continuing to be, and to brainwash the people they're bringing up. So this is not, we're not anti-Semitic by any means.
But also, I think there's a bit of confusion around the term anti-Semitic as well, because Semites are like Palestinian Jews are Semites.
Exactly, Semites are Arabs. I mean, when you get into that, it's a whole other thing. But most people don't think that. I mean, they hear the word anti-Semitic, they think, okay, you're anti-Jews. It is basically what. Or
if you criticize Israel policy, you are anti-Jew, which is not true, because the two aren't you can separate it,
Well, there's many Israelis that definitely don't like, they don't like a lot. I mean, that's why not too long ago.
There's groups of Jewish people that are, sorry, I'm talking over you. There is groups of Jewish people that are organising protests against the Zionist regime, against what's happening. They're not happy with it,
And not just against what's happening in Palestine, but they don't like the economy. They're having a lot of problems in Israel, and the people are protesting. I mean, many things, and so they're not happy with the government. But no, many of them have. In fact, went in Berlin and the West Bank, where there's a march every Friday for years now. I think 4 or 5 years. I think probably since Operation Cast Lead. And internationals go there in March, and this is just what they do. But there's a lot of Israeli citizens who go. I shouldn't say lots, but some who go and march there also, because this is just making a statement. They get tear gas, they get rubber bullets shot at them. It's just every Friday. This is what they do. But a lot of citizens are joining in. They don't like what's happening. And you've probably seen on YouTube where some ex-military from the IDF have come on and said what they think and how they just got sick being told to do the things that they are supposed to do. My friend here in the States in Tennessee, she was in the military there. It's been several years ago, and she got out after 3 months. She pretty much, they thought she was crazy, but they didn't commit her or anything. But she was telling them she loved the Palestinians, and she drew peace signs on her gun. And that did not impress them in a good way. But I mean, she was trying to get out, and she did. But she got here to this country, and she's a very, very heavy duty pro-Palestinian advocate. And she talks with her family and friends who are still in Israel a lot, and, fights with them a lot, because most of them still are against Palestine because they have bought what they've been told.
I think it's not a case of like singling out Jewish. It's nothing to do with that. It's more to do with, if you're pro-Palestine, then you are pro-humanity, basically, because of what's going on. Because it's a systematic ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people that's going on. So there's no getting away from it. No. If you have any sort of humanity in you, you will see that what's happening is wrong.
Right. I don't know anyone, and there probably are some people, but I don't know them, who are pro-Palestinian, but yet they care nothing about what's happening in the rest of the world. Because the people I know are very concerned. They're concerned about the Kashmiris, who are under occupation and have been since the same time, since 1948. That's why the Kashmiris are so adamantly pro-Palestine, because they know what it's like. I mean, their occupation takes a different form, but they live in an area that's more militarized occupation than any other place in the world. And they know what it's like. They know what it's like to be disappeared and things like that. So, I don't know anyone who has just concentrated on Palestine so that you could say, well, they're so anti-Semitic. This is their statement. Because people who are concerned, like you said, because it's all connected. If there's inhumanity being put against people in this one area, it affects us. And so, we it's all connected somehow. And when you let some country get by with this, other countries think that they can also.
It causes a lot of friction, really, a lot of bad feeling, and it's not good.
Well, and it's true. Israel gets by with a lot.
I don't think the world popular can really afford to ignore what's going on. It's quite a simple situation, but at the same time it's complex. There's a lot of layers going on. There's a lot of bad feeling on both sides, a lot of confusion. But I think that, it's important that people are aware of what's going on. The real information gets out there. Because there's a lot of propaganda. I mean, the Western media, for example, is full of propaganda, but it's all biased. They don't show both sides. At all. Yeah. They don't show the full picture. You see one side and that's it. So you really have to dig for the truth. You really have to dig to find the information out and speak to, obviously, any connections you have on both sides, any people you know from both sides, and try and get the truth that way. Because it's the only way. You can't rely on the media.
Well, even to find out what's happening, you have to go to other sources. And this isn't about Israel, but a few weeks ago I was mentioning Occupy to someone in this country, face to face. And he didn't know what I was talking about because I said something about, the Occupy movement in the United States. He didn't have a clue what I was talking about.
I find that quite strange in this day and age.
I know.
Because I've been all over even the mainstream media had to report on it. It was everywhere.
But now this really does watch the news, mainstream media. And I don't know how he avoided it. I don't know. But he sincerely did not know what I was talking about. And it blew me away. So even something like that in this country, people aren't getting. And that was like the biggest thing that happened in this country in quite a while. I mean, as far as protests and solidarity and everything. And he didn't know. So when it comes to finding out news about other countries, absolutely not. Now, we alluded to the Operation Cast Lead, which was the 3-week conflict in December of 2008 and January of 2009. Now, that, it wasn't very pronounced in this country. And then less than a year and a half later, when the Freedom Flotilla was boarded and 9 people killed, well, I don't have TVs, so I get my news and things, and I watch online. But I had a friend, and this is like a personal thing, but there was somebody, an old friend from the past, who had come back into my life, and I was trying to talk to him about it because, I had cried for hours and hours and hours and hours, and and I just was like, hey, I was trying to talk to him, and he had seen something on TV. He had seen these poor people on the boat with the chairs trying to, fend off the guys coming down from the helicopters. And he said, well, they had to shoot him because those people had chairs. They were beating him. And I said, okay, well, you're an idiot. And I didn't see him anymore because when, I just couldn't grasp that I would see somebody who didn't get at least part of it, who would believe just this tiny bit that he was shown, and think that, these people with no weapons but a chair, like they should be shot because they were being attacked on the boat they were on, and they were trying to defend themselves. So, that's what the media here does. It shows just tiny pieces of anything. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And turns people, on what they say, because the media is owned by, 3 major big corporations or something.
And that's, the importance of Zionism cannot be overemphasized, and the relevance of it to the fact that a lot of the big media companies, corporations even, are owned by Zionists.
And Hollywood, movies and things. It's very disproportionate with, like the number of Jewish people in the world, and then you take the number of Jewish people down to the number of Zionists, and it's very small proportion, and they own.
It's kind of like the 1%.
So much, exactly.
Yeah. It's the same
they're less than the 1%. Yeah, but they control so much. They pretty much control the Congress in the United States.
Absolutely, with AIPAC, the Israel lobby, and through that they control Middle Eastern policy.
Yes.
So this is why it is so relevant to what goes on in the world. It has effects. Name changed. Has AIPAC changed its name?
Well, some people have said that AIPAC should register as a foreign agent, like an enemy agent. Well, it should. But we don't see that happening. But, they pay. There's, it's been several months now, so I can't tell you the number, but it was something like, I think 60 some senators and representatives from this country got a free trip to Israel. Just to look things over and see where our money's going, basically. We have something like 200 of our Congress people are dual citizens with Israel. And I find that so offensive. I need to take deep breaths because I personally, if I come to live in England, I'm not going to try to have a dual citizenship and run for office there. If I thought I would, for whatever reason, want to run for some kind of office, I would give up my citizenship here and try to get British citizenship. I personally don't think that you can be, because you have to pledge like allegiance of whatever word they use, to become a citizen of a country. And so how can you have a dual citizenship? And I could see, okay, if you're just for the school board, you have a kid and you want to be in the school board and you have a dual citizenship, well, okay.
Hang on a minute.
Huh? Hello, right. Hello, somebody else has joined us, Odin.
I think it's somebody from chat. I'm not quite sure. I just got a friend's request. If you are there, we'll bring you back into the call. Just mute your microphone for us, please. Odin Wild, if you could, please. And then, and the girls can continue. Thank you. Carry on, girl. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
I kind of lost the thread of what we were talking about there with that distraction. So,
you know, you were talking about nationality there, Dawn, and whether someone should hold office if they've got dual citizenship. You know, this is quite interesting to me, being a Kiwi. You know, I've been living here for 30 years. In fact, I've been living more of my life in this country than I lived in New Zealand. But the whole thing of nationality, this is a divisive idea in any case. Mm-hmm. This is what people don't forget. Why are we all arguing about whether you should have citizenship or whether you shouldn't have citizenship? The whole thing is a complete straw man argument anyway. Throw the whole thing about nationality out of things. The problem that we've got with Israel is that this is the only country in the world where they've got a country dedicated to a particular religion. This whole idea of Zionism, of saying, well, you know, religion needs to have a homeland. Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Yep.
Well, that's the Orthodox Jews. Many of them are against having a country, because they say that in the Torah or the Bible, it says that the Jews will not and should not have a country. So they're against it right from the beginning. But no, I agree. Although there's the Islamic Republic of Iran, is that what it's called? So that would be a country that does use religion.
Yeah, do you know, in Iran there are more Jews, I think, than there are in Israel. This is one of the things that's not really acknowledged, and certainly in Iraq as well, had a huge population of Jews there as well. An awful lot of... Yeah, the problem is, the problem is that everything is based on beliefs. Do you know, I believe means I don't know. So there are people all around the world fighting each other over things they don't know, over beliefs. How can you possibly fight someone because you don't know something?
Or because you believe differently.
No, I don't believe it. The whole point is not argument. The whole point is not to believe. The whole point is that if anything is worth knowing, it's knowable. You can find out about it. Yes. And so you don't need a belief. Beliefs mean I don't know. And in fact, beliefs mean even worse than that. Not only I don't know, but I can't be bothered carrying on until I find the truth.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I will just believe something that I was told, and because I choose to believe it.
Right. But that's a very lazy thing, isn't it, to choose to believe something just because you're told it? And to form a whole world view on stuff that you don't know. It's a habit that we're trained into precisely so that they can pull the wool over your eyes. If you say, right, I refuse all beliefs from this point forward, there'll be some stuff that I know and a whole lot of stuff that I don't know, and what I won't do is try and pretend to know some of the stuff that I don't know by saying that I believe it. And certainly I'm not going to fight anyone over beliefs, even this one.
That's it. It's like, well, then why do you believe it? And, well, because so-and-so told me, because my grandfather believed that way, so I do too. Sure. And, you know, that's that lame... It's just, well, people are either lazy, sorry about that, people are either lazy or they don't know how to think for themselves. And that's what's happening in this country. A lot of people have been dummied down or allowed themselves to be dummied down. So they just take what we were talking about, mainstream media, what they say, they take that for gospel.
Sure. And this is the problem. So why aren't we attacking the problem at its source? And its source is belief. It's not nationalism, because that's just a belief. It's not all the religion stuff, again, because that's largely belief as well. The core problem is belief. Why aren't we tackling that instead of tackling all the other things that we're fighting over and defending against and trying to claim?
It's futile.
Even all the legal system, and all the freemen and so on who are listening into this. That again is all a big belief system. Why aren't we fighting the core, which is the belief, and saying, hang on, let's do away with legal fictions, let's do away with political fictions, let's do away with patriotic fictions, and let's do away with all of these fictions and just deal with the source of the whole problem, which is belief. And I'll tell you why, because as soon as you stand up and say, right, all your beliefs are a whole load of shit, start all over again, they say, hang on, beliefs are protected under this act, this constitution, this, that. Of course beliefs are protected because they're protecting the way that they can pull the wool over your eyes. Don't accept it. Don't take it.
Hello there. Can I just say something? Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Yep. Jump in.
Hello there. Dawn, my name's Odin Ogunwanga. Prajna, it's an absolute pleasure to be on the same call as you. I was just listening. I was just listening to... Hi there. Is that Kaz?
That's
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, Callie, excuse me. I'm sorry. Hello to you. Hello, Dawn. Hello, listeners.
Hi.
I'm still just barely surviving. I just wanted to pop in there because, really, Prajna, it's fascinating listening to you because you've just basically summed up what I'm sat here thinking, and you're so spot on right. And I just wanted to maybe throw in some things as per my observation as to what you were just saying. And basically, what you're saying with regard to courts, etc., is indeed all entirely belief. They're enforcing their beliefs on the people because their beliefs get money and get results from the trust, all based on a lie and, of course, violence, extreme violence. That's what they're doing to continue their lie, and they ridicule people who clearly have gone into the courts for the last, in the UK, just to let everyone know, bare minimum within my knowledge, the last 6 years on a persistent, very long 6 or 7 years, I would say. And there's no right way or wrong way of doing things, as Don pointed out earlier on, not because we're misunderstanding something, but because there is, in fact, no honour and basically just violence based in their system. And obviously, if you're going to be speaking and telling somebody who's sitting there as an administrator of a trust called a judge who has entirely, is just an actor, basically, within their theatre, and they get to ignore you or cajole you or threaten you with violence, then really the ways of peace in a Crown judicial system is doomed to fail, it would appear. But not because anyone is either angry. It's not a place of emotion anyway, because it's just a place of psychopaths, clearly, because they like speaking to dead people. But also, just to point out, Prajna, you may... In fact, I sometimes you're forced towards a TV in one's life. I try personally to avoid them, but just to let you know, and the ladies there on this call, in the UK, televised, of course, they have what they call the Six Nations Rugby Union, not league, rugby union, rugby competition, an extremely well-financed sporting event to bring on out and out nationalism. In the team that one supports, which is a divide and conquer. I see it everywhere, and to hypnotise the people. And I've just picked up also that in the United States, there is, in fact, I don't know if it's the equivalent, but extremely, it's much bigger, it's really well financed, and it's something like the Super Bowl, is it?
Super Bowl's today. Yes, you're right.
It was indeed. Who was that speaking there? Was that Dawn?
Dan.
I was just laughing.
Hi there, Dawn. Roseanne, where are you? Anyway, Roseanne, have I got your name right?
Ruthann.
Ruthann, hi Ruthann. You'll excuse me, I was a former host myself. Can you tell me what the feeling was throughout America? Obviously you got a gazillion people tuned into hypnotised by the programming of those events and actually paying their hard-earned alleged money to go into the stadiums and actually be entertained by the theatre of extremely well-paid football players, and obviously all the advertising in between. Is that more or less how the day went down from state to state in the United States today?
It's going down that way. That's what
right.
it is, because it's part of the Bread and Circus Act. And yeah, the game starts in a couple hours here. But yeah, it's, you know, you keep people dummied down. You throw them the bones, the bread. That's these big sporting events, movies. You give them movie stars. You know, when there's real things going on in the world, like drone killings. Well, you concentrate on who's doing who, and you know, as far as TV stars or movie stars go.
What you do is you just give people beliefs. You either give them belief in a particular team or a particular country or about their particular nation, or you give them a belief in fundamentalist Christianity, or you give them belief in a flag, or you give them belief in anything. And once you strip the beliefs away, you see things for what they are. And when you turn to Palestine and you strip all the beliefs away, you see it for exactly what it is. And it's just out and out genocide. It's just wiping people off their land and stealing their country. As soon as all the belief goes, it's fucking obvious what it is. Absolutely obvious. And this is the thing. It's the same with the way that we've been treated too, travelling freely on the land, having our home taken away from us and so on. As you know, they want us to get us to believe in their system, but they want to get us to believe these things at the barrel of a gun, at the loss of our home, at the loss of everything that we have, pretty much. And it's the same there in Palestine. They take everything away because they want you to believe in all of the things that they're trying to put across on the media. Media is about forming beliefs. All these things are about forming beliefs. So let's attack the core.
It's almost as if they're getting extremely desperate, because to some of us here, it is very, very obvious that they are really pulling the punch. They're just really going for it over the last, 2 to 3 years, and sound bites here in the UK anyway, stating that indeed the people will have to just go ahead and take more cuts financially up until the year 2016. And I was just wondering, it's just there's just so many Prajna people here not, listening in on the internet, unfortunately, but some people, they're fast asleep. They just don't seem to be aware of any of this, or how, in point of fact, it affects their lives. With money, of course, as the backbone to absolutely every element of force and violence put upon everybody, whether it be Israel. I'm sorry to have taken away the conversation from, I personally, I know about the Zionist backbone from Jewish Israel. I've been there in my younger year. I attended a couple of different kibbutzim and a moshav with the sun on my back, and did enjoy myself. But in point of fact, I didn't know what I know now, and it was bad, but not as bad in 1983, I think it was, that I was there. It was a long while ago. Maybe I'm showing my age.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you tell us that. It's very good to have you on the call.
Oh, yeah.
To have your input.
Are you Dawn?
Yes, I am.
Dawn, I forgive you for not actually, basically I have been a radio host for good reason. I started on another radio station and actually worked at a number of other different ones, and I've talked with people, just as Dom is right now, from all over the world, really, mostly about law and legislation, contracting and equity, and obviously the New World Order bigger plan, and that's why I particularly enjoy listening to Prajna, because the way he sees things is very accurate indeed. I really do like to. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave my mic. So.
I just had a really interesting conversation in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, with Zaphod Beeblebrox. He said, why change name Prajna? And I explained that it was a name from my teacher that's supposed to help me. And he said, oh, well, that's faith. And I said, well, actually, no, it's a practice. Yeah, it's something to do. Mm-hmm. This is a way of testing reality, something that you don't need faith or belief. It's faith to say, yeah, I'll do the practice and see what turns out. Actually, that's science. This is what science does.
You know, it is what you're talking about there, Price. It's very, it's very tricky for a lot of people to go throughout their day, deep within their programming, or try to get out of it and not be judgmental, or make assumptions and presumptions based on programmed beliefs. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because these are habits.
We're programmed. Sure. We're so programmed from our parents, from schools, from the community. And like you said, when you start trying to strip that away to find who you are, and some people never do this, but it can be scary. It's very rewarding and freeing, but it's scary too.
But do it anyway. It's scary. It is scary, folks, but do it anyway, because you're here to live, you're here to be alive and to experience, so get on with it. It's just an experience.
Exactly. You're not here to live someone else's life, you're here to live your own, so you really have to be real with yourself. You owe it to yourself, first and foremost.
Celebrate it.
Would you like to have a break? Would you?
Challenge.
Yeah, we could do.
It's up to you. You can carry on through if you like.
Yeah, we can have a quick break.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dark City, the Dark City show. We are joined this evening, Bob, most of you commonly known as, the name my mother gave me is Paul, of course. Some of you know me as Paul, so here I am. We have Dawn, we've got Bob, Earthwise, we've got commonly known as Mother tonight, our mate Scott. We have Robo Hippie, we've got Susan all the way from Australia, we have Ruthann from the United States of America, or whatever you're calling it recently, I'm not too sure. Our beloved Parajna, and Odin Wild. I called you Odwin before, excuse me, man, I got that wrong. Odin Wild.
Odin.
I've actually bumped into a couple of times before, Odin. Nice to have you with us on our Dark City Radio.
Pleasure.
So it was loosely around Palestine and Israel. That's where we kind of started off. We often plunge into the rabbit hole. So if any of you want to throw something in, here we are. If you do want to join us, we've got, like I say, a big bunch of people on the line, all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of little nuggets of wisdom and information to be shared. And if you have one, or you want to put a question across, not saying we can answer it, but we may be able to put you in a different direction, looking at it from another point of view, being prepared to accept an alternative, especially if it's a viable alternative. So give it a go. I'm Bob's Backyard on Skype. It's not hard to do. Add me to your list. Give me a PM and I will pull you into the call. If you do that, please mute your microphone as you come in. And when you're ready to speak, or when there's a bit of a gap, I'll do my best to get in and give you, at least get you to say hello. Okay, boys and girls, the floor is now yours. Have fun.
I'd like to ask.
Go on, Susan.
Hello everybody, and you're listening to Dark City Radio, and thank you guests and listeners for listening. Continue. Thank you.
Oh, there's a voice for radio. Susan.
Pardon?
Susan, isn't she?
That's a nice voice you have.
Very nice radio voice.
Oh, well, poor Odin, he's not Yeti crew. Are you, Odin? You'll get used to it. You'll get used to it.
Not yet. I heard somebody that was on crack obtaining. Don't know where you found that guest from.
Just joined us, who is totally responsible for that. Welcome to the call, Dom.
Yeah,
Dom, bloody hell, mate, there you are.
Hello, Andy. How you doing, mate?
All right, good. You summed it up in your hour earlier on with regard to what you were saying with regard to courts anyway. But I think Bob wants to go in another direction. So what I was going to say is I really personally like Ken O'Keefe I haven't had the chance to say that on radio yet because I'm kind of off.
Do you know, the funny thing is, I worked with Ken O'Keefe for a year or so. We were going to take 10,000 human shields out to Palestine, and so Ken and I converted a couple of buses and all got a bit of a story, really, and it was a hell of an exciting and interesting time. And yeah, I love Ken very much. I think he's going to be fighting for peace until his dying day. Is the only thing about Ken. One of these days he might run into a little bit of peace. But Ken is. I can tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing. Ken will certainly never be at peace until there is peace in Palestine. I know that for certain. And if you'd seen him coming out of Israeli jail with blood all over his face, thrown straight to the press after the Israeli police had beaten the living shit out of him. You know, that guy's completely dedicated. He's
Paja. His life was you know, he's had attempted murder on his life by by the IDF. And that guy is extremely motivated, and I urge anyone listening who hasn't heard of him to please look up all the videos of his on the internet. Okay, and you know, I heard him talking on one of the videos in Rochdale, I think it was, and this is not a man who only knows about the matters of Zionists out of Israel and the Jewish acts of genocide towards the Palestinians. He also is fully aware and speaks very eloquently about the whole banking scam, what money is, who makes it, and why all this is happening on a global scale as well.
And ask Ken about Hawaii sometime as well. People don't realise that Hawaii was just stolen by a fucking American general who just walked in without even any government behind him or anything, and just took over the country. And then
you know, there was something I wanted to mention to you, though, especially Callie and yourself, Praj, and Dom especially, is that you were talking earlier on, in fact, with Ian R. Crane on Dark City Radio, which is good. But with regard to the revolution of trying to wake people up and the awake already, there are those who take an action and sort of within the realms of the matrix and hence make money doing it. And then there's people like yourself, Praj, who take steps of action to wake up minds and rather selflessly, really, you know. I really appreciate that, because at least it's an action, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is the other thing about Ken, of course, is that Ken lives this way too. You know, he lives as far as possible absolutely outside the system, and you know, he understands that in order to be free you have to be healthy, so he cares about his diet. You know, he has absolute compassion as well for all beings, you know.
Yes, yes, that we're all connected.
And even these Israelis that are beating him, you know, it's incredible. You know, I mean, he absolutely detests what they're doing in every way to all of us. And this is something that people don't realise, is how much these same fascists are doing to all of us, how much they're affecting every aspect of our lives. The people, you know, Palestine is just the public face of these people. Yeah, it's just some of the public overt actions, and even all their stuff in Palestine, they try and cover up with all kinds of crazy language, you know. And this is, again, we go down to beliefs, because people will believe. They won't find out. They won't look at the whole story. They'll say, "Oh, I've read enough about that. I'll just believe this," and then they'll go and fight and argue with people about it.
But the problems that mankind is clearly facing at this moment, Praj, is that the there must be hundreds of thousands anyway globally, certainly throughout the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, Ireland and the UK. But these constant lies put out by the media, paid-for media, Sky, CNN, and certainly that one in America. God, what's it called? Anyway, the point is,
Fox.
It's Fox, actually, yeah. What a bunch of sickos. Wow. I'm sorry for you. Oh, dear. Yeah. Anyway, but what I was saying is that that they continue pressing home these... It's all money. It's all money-based behind it. And those need to be cut off. And if, for instance, I think I said it on a broadcast somewhere else last week, I was on the radio, as long as... the likes of Tony Blair, Hillary Clinton, and can never remember his name, the head of the New World Order plan, the Jewish man, not Larry Silverstein, the other, can never remember his name.
Not Rothschild. Well, who knows? There are so many of them. They're all hidden there, and they're all.
Raj, I want to put a difficult one to you, and Dom as well there, and others. Whilst we remain peaceful, certainly in some cases that does really work, then as long as these beasts, these madmen and women are walking the earth here alive, then they hold all the money cards anyway. They've created all the bombs, the factories, the missiles and the bullets, etc., and keep the murdering going and keep the fear and violence going within the Crown Court-based system throughout the Commonwealth, including the United States as well. It seems to be an incredibly long ride to wake people up to the realism that they can defend themselves and think for themselves. Sorry.
Odin, I think the problem is simply that people don't know how to be peaceful enough. I think in any situation, if you are able to be peaceful enough, you will be able to bring peace to that situation wherever it is. And we can't solve the whole world's problems. We can't do that. All we can do is solve the problems where we are. And the problem is most of us aren't solving problems. We're creating problems. Things that are just things to be done, things to happen, things to be taken care of. And generally the only things we need to be thinking of are the things that need to be taken care of in this moment. When the time comes to take care of other things, then is the time to put our attention there. People don't know how to be peaceful. How can they have a peaceful world when they're not at peace themselves? They're full of addictions, and they're full of all kinds of habits, and they're full of all kinds of crazy beliefs and ideas and concepts.
Yeah? But that doesn't mean we don't have to pack big.
Well, we are packing big.
Well, one of us is, yeah.
Praj, can I put this to you? There's a fantastic speaker in Philadelphia in the United States called Mark Passio. He's absolutely brilliant. Again, someone else that people should hone into and listen to. And one of the things he adamantly says is that it's okay, once you find out all that we know, to be angry. It's a normal reaction to be angry.
It's natural.
Can I just point something out? Hello, you can hear me okay? Yeah? Cool. I just wanted to point something out. Well, there is one person, an individual, a man or a woman. Don't get my words too wrong here. Let me get it right. Well, there is one man or woman with hatred in their mind, then we have a problem. We have a problem. Don't make that problem your problem. It doesn't belong to you. It's not yours. The same as the solution doesn't belong to any of us. The same as the land. We have been, as I see it, instructed how to possess. We are in a state of possession. Not only physically, mentally, emotionally, and for those of you, for the transcendented beings, whatever they are,
transcendental,
whatever they are, all them lot as well. There you go. I knew you'd all have one or two you were working with. I knew it. We've all got one of them things, haven't we?
The whole system has been set up to make us want to be materialistic, basically. And it all goes back to like the whole fractional reserve banking system and the debt enslavement system. They want to get us to buy things we don't need, and they want us to tie us into these mortgages that we can't pay, or we're going to be paying for the rest of our lives, so that we're going to be enslaved to them.
Selling us a better tomorrow, Dawn. Trying to sell us a better tomorrow. It always comes in the future, doesn't it?
Yes.
I've noticed this as well. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and let you carry on. I just wanted to chip in, you know, that's all.
I hope I didn't frighten away Susan. I know I wouldn't have frightened away Dom.
Odin.
Ruthann, just pipe in.
That wasn't a good thing to say, mate, about frightening Susan.
I don't know, I want to hear her speak.
Yeah, well, you've got such good, gifted speakers. I'm sitting quietly and enjoying the conversation. But, yeah, I do agree with Paul that, you know, the word I think you were looking for is transient beings. Yeah, while there's one of us in confusion or in, you know, basically in confusion, we're all there together. We're all in this together. So, yeah. Thank you. Continue. I'm enjoying the show.
What are we in? If we're all in it together, what are we in?
Yeah, exactly.
The experience.
No.
We're all in the dark city. We're all in the dark city, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I am. The experience of the Dark City, nice.
It is the Dark City. It started off as Palestine, Israel, and it's kind of morphed into something else. But that's okay, that's fine, because it's quite good that we can actually...
But before we leave the Palestine-Israel conflict, I'd like to ask you all what kind of a solution you think is going to work, and if you're for a one-state or a two-state or something else.
Ruth, I may, I would say...
No, I've got the answer. Everybody stop now. Stop it. Have a look at what you're doing and make better choices.
Yeah.
You can make better choices. You've just got to stop and look at what you're doing.
And wherever you are, bring peace. To whatever situation, bring peace. Yeah, whenever an argument comes up, bring peace to it, wherever you are. And this is the one thing that I want Ken O'Keefe, who I love very much, to know, and that is that if he wants to bring peace places, first he's got to be at peace. We all have to first be at peace. That's the mandatory step. And the first thing you have to do is to get to know yourself, however scary that is. However hard that is, because otherwise you don't know who's in control of all of this. So step one, get to know yourself. Step two, bring peace wherever you are. In fact, if you are peace, once you discover yourself, you will find that you're nothing but peace. And when you find that you're nothing but peace, then wherever you go, there is peace. Automatically, with no fighting for it, with no arguing for it.
I caught him, he was listening to him.
I agree with you, Prajna, and I think, to be perfectly honest with myself, that I have found myself a long time ago, and I see myself growing and being able to very much control my ego or temper or anger in the right appropriate situations. But between yourself and Dom there, and Bob as well, I'm just getting to know you by listening to you on this station. You know, I'm sure you do, or for the most part, maybe all of your life have tried to control and conduct yourself in such a way. However, your life was badly affected when you just wanted to be left alone and go peacefully travelling, as you should be able to, anywhere in the UK. And then people who were full of hate and disdain and violence involved themselves in your life, and just as Dom's, and they just seem to be persistent.
Sure. Sure, because we live in a free country, don't we?
Can I just point out for Odwin here? You do know me, Odwin. I'm from Ashton Allotment Action. I was on CMR Radio. We've chatted a couple of
I thought I recognised your voice, Bob. Right. Yes, okay. Right, okay. Yeah, cheers. Although it's a shame I didn't meet you. Did you ever go to the Stockport meetings at all?
No, yes, I went to one. I went to a We Are Change meeting. I've been to one of them. I've just got to turn up in the room, me man, and it kicks off, you know. So, yeah, I've been to a few local meetings.
It's please. If you keep calling me Odwin, it's going to stick, and it's not Odwin. It's Odin. I keep that as a backup. I'll keep that as a backup.
Yeah, I've been to a few meetings locally. I'm what you call an activist in the fact that I have actions. And those actions lead to reactions of others, which I wasn't aware of until after the fact. But I've been to a few of the truth movements and the groups that have come together, and I've met some really sound, good-hearted people who genuinely want to embrace change. However, I have yet to see any evidence of change. Even the group, the own group, the Ashton Allotment Action, which I had, and I've done other things besides that, but the Ashton Allotment Action is the one that I've been working with currently. And even with that, we haven't really got anywhere, to be honest. Yeah, we've took the land, they're all arguing over it, they're all fighting on it, but let's be realistic about this still. We just take it back whenever we want. We haven't got, you know, we haven't actually done it.
We don't have a contract.
We are a way off. Yeah, they're trying to contract around us. We're going, no, this is free common land. It's free. The land is free. It cannot be possessed or owned by anyone. And they're going, yeah, but we'll contract for 50 years and then you can rent it off us. And no. The land is free. This is common land, common to all. That means no one can own or possess it. We'll put it off and let you deal with your children. Yeah, that's what they're attempting to do, blatantly, where one hand is saying one thing, the other hand does something else, and then starts to apply for preliminary planning permission. So the conflict over land, I see this to be fundamental to all of us.
Yes.
Ruthann, thanks to Ruthann tonight, and thanks for coming on the show, Ruthann. It's most appreciated. And pointing out this to me, because I got it dead clear. This isn't about Palestine. This isn't about Israel. This is about conflict under our feet. Our feet, right today, wherever you are on Earth. We, man and women of this planet, have been possessed by ownership. We cannot be owned, nor can the land, yet we can occupy it. We are already in occupation. We are here. We are doing it. You're all occupying your houses. Whoever you think may own it, that is fake. It's an illusion. We've been duped. That's all. We don't have to go out in the streets and murder people and kill people and stand in riots and fight. Why? We have done this repeatedly over and over again. It makes no difference. How can we say, oh, well, we're the truth people, we've got groups that know better, blah, blah, blah. How can we say that? We don't. I haven't got no answers. We don't know. Know. But we do know where we're coming from. We all know where we awoke in. If you have really woken up, you can see it around you right now. Now hear Prajna's words. Now hear them. Raise that energy. Bring that peace into the moment and end that conflict from within. And allow that from each and every one of us to pass across this land, wherever you may be on Earth. Because we are in occupation. We can't now go and occupy it. We're already here. We can't achieve what we've already done. We're in occupation. And there are those around us who are possessed. Don't judge them, brothers and sisters. Don't judge them. Focus on
Bob, if I may just pull in there, that's a great word. Okay, Bob, that was a damn good rant, actually, very good. The word possessed, that was the cue. That's a good word, because I was just thinking that the people who aren't, and by the way, just for the sake of the listeners, all probably on this call right now, you're listening to on Darkcity Radio, have researched all the perfectly accurate information on the internet, given the longevity of the plan of the money makers, the bankers, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. We know the score. It's not just us making this up and just wishing it were different. However, what I was thinking, though, is that all the people, like the politicians and the bankers who still exist, and certainly all the actors, judges, barristers, lawyers and solicitors, I would assume that they're not actually just compartmentalized, but in point of fact are aware to a certain point of what we're talking about and our understanding, but are absolutely not prepared to give up the gifts of money, which is extreme as well. It's not just things, well, just everything that you may be able to get or buy or be given in the dark side, in secret, not in public, in private, that they seem to be getting. And they're quite happy to conduct their way in a lifestyle that is completely not ours at all. And that is very, very dangerous and scary. It's very frustrating because I know you're searching for people to talk about solutions. But I was looking at the name, actually. I've run a Jibiru run on Henry Kissinger, the architect of the New World Order. Dawn, you would know that name, Susan Praja. You know,
that comes from Gladio. I mean, the girls pointed this out earlier. If you follow the money, follow any of the lines, it will take you straight to Rome. That's where it always takes you. You always end up the Babylonian division between the tribes of man and women. It's still there. Nothing's really changed.
I think an interesting point of my learning is that, and excuse me if I'm shouting, I've got my headphones on. I don't have a setup whereby I can hear my own voice back in my headphones, so I am a bit, I don't know if I'm shouting or what. But
no, you can.
Okay, well, the fact that it draws your energy, that's really very intriguing to me. The laying of, the judicial courts in just outside of Jerusalem on the hillside, if anyone cares to look there, when photographed from a helicopter above, it is in fact shaped like the face of an owl, Moloch, representing the evil devil Moloch or the wise or whatever, a face of an owl it really is. And it's also sitting on ley lines, and obviously the routing of the buildings within the Freemasonry groups along the ley lines, sucking people's energy just to every element is relevant in their world. And it does do just that, unfortunately. It's like the people going to work, blindly creating viable financial instruments with their wet ink signatures, do in blissful ignorance. They do that. They have no idea. And going to work, doing 60 hours a week, some people, heads down, and they don't question what for. As long as they're kept busy, they will never take the time to research and learn what we know here, and then digest it, place it, and realize, oh my God, I've been duped. You know, they just don't seem to have the time to do that. How long is that going to take to help people realize that the last 30 years of them paying a mortgage was a complete and total farce and a waste of time?
Hello, no, do you want a 2-hour show?
Sorry. Just to let you know, Bob, there, I used to hold 3-hour shows with some musical interludes.
3 hours.
They seem to be a thing of the past, but when I get back on the air, right, please God, if things go well, I shall be able to do that again, no problem. Yeah, I know. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to hog the airwaves. Anyone else come?
Oh no, my point being is that you said how long does it take? Well, I don't know, man. Have 3 hours, have 4 hours, have as long as you need. You know what I mean? You don't worry about being on the air. This is your radio. It doesn't belong to any of us. This station doesn't belong to no one. So anyway, Dawn, I think you were trying to get in there.
Oh, the phone lines, are they open at the moment for people to call in?
There will be a phone line, yeah. As soon as we get the Linux servers up, we definitely will have a direct line in.
But the Skype,
yeah, at the moment, unfortunately, they can only use Skype.
Yeah, just add Bob's Backyard Skype.
Yeah, that's it. If you're out there and you want to join in, load up the Skype program. Don't pay for it. Just use the free program. It costs you nothing. Load it up. add Bob's Backyard at the moment. I do believe there's only one, so you shouldn't get me straight away. Bob's Backyard. It's English, just in case there is another one by now. And you will, add me, give us a message. Simple to do. We'll pull you into the call.
Yeah, I'd like to bring something up for a topic of discussion.
Go for it.
What I was starting to talk on tonight before I brought Ian in, what I've been noticing more and more with protests becoming more and more in the mainstream media, and with the likes of Tavistock Institute's involvement in these sort of things, it does seem it's there to engineer and manipulate to get people into this sort of stuff so they can buy their products, whether it will be the T-shirts, the books, the videos, the balaclavas, the guns. I'm not too sure at what level they're going to go to. But when you look at, you go around your local towns and look in the shops, have a look at the casual wear that's about now and see how they're dressing it up in the shops. Because when I saw that fashion wear called Nanny State, and on the dummies they had like gas masks on the complete face, and then it's got a little emblem of a gas mask on the clothing. Are they trying to program? Well, what I'm saying is, are they trying to program the nation to buy into this niche market of protests and being rebellious? And is this part of their agenda and plan?
Of course it is, man. They'll market anything, Dom. They'll market anything. They'll sell it.
When you mention the gas
Adam
masks,
Curtis's documentaries. Adam Curtis, the guy who wrote Century of the South and Power of Nightmares and that kind of thing. And you see precisely that kind of manipulation goes on in the market. They're always, this is what they did with the hippies. They did exactly the same thing. They went and took all their culture and then they Hollywoodized it and then sold it all back to everyone. So, sure. Sorry, who did I cut out? Dawn.
Yeah, when you were mentioning the gas masks, it automatically makes me think of war, because they're obviously trying to push for a war at the moment, another world war, resource war, basically. World War III.
Anyway,
if I may, it's worth remembering that there is a program of outright genocide on mankind. So every element of media input that you see will have some figurative element of propaganda, trying to make out, for instance, that the United Nations have the better interests of mankind at heart in its very existence, which is a complete out-and-out lie. That's why this program is very, very big. We are for the death penalty. We're all going to be dead as soon as they could put people in gas chambers in Poland and Germany during the Second World War. Over to you.
Yeah, that was the Second World War, but there's also money to be made. It's a financial market that you're dealing with, a corporate entity that has
these guys
records. And
these guys, they cover from both sides of every war.
These guys print money, so it can't be about the money. If they want more money, they could just print it. Of course, it's not about money.
Money is just the illusion. They don't even print it. It's just made electronically. The program of a cashless society electronically to keep everyone as a slave is precisely their plan, and electrics as well. Obviously, Praj, you know about the angle of keeping everyone in oil, peak oil, and not free energy. Point of fact as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Dalton can. Prajna and Odin got it right this time, Odin. I think the girls are trying to get in there. Everybody's quite passionate about this, but if you can just let them pass it round a little bit.
Thank you. So, even behind the walls, it's a money-making venue. So it is a corporate government, but there are, small businesses behind, or rather large businesses behind that have money, ammunition to sell, technology to sell, and let's create a war and get it out there. While the people are busy, we'll implement something else. So.
It's all criminality, that Dawn. It's just criminality as well.
The problem we have, the big problem is that we are run by corporations, and corporations have more right than us, basically, as their rulers stand.
It's the contract.
And these people in control are hiding behind the corporations. But if you follow the money and you start looking into who's behind what corporation, who's the board of directors, you find a lot of vicious connections. And it's always the same people that are popping up. Yeah. And I've found from when I've been looking into like the Rothschild family, and now I am under no illusion that they're the only people that are controlling this, because of course they're not. There is other families involved, many other families. But, however, what I have found from my research is that they are the most prominent in control. Their control can be the most obviously found. You know, when
we signed up.
The military-industrial complex, like, for example, I've found connections with them being in control of Atos and Fidelity. They have investments in everything from, like, Pepsi to pharmaceutical companies to, you name it, basically. Software companies, hardware companies.
Dawn, you just took me into the pharmaceutical mind fest. So, that's a whole topic for another time.
It's a whole other ballgame, isn't it, really, when you come to that as well. They're also, they've got control of, like, AXA. And I also found some information the other day. I don't know if you've heard of L3 Communications. They actually
make the
did you say as well.
ELF?
No, L3.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know if I've still got this the information up. Wait a minute.
So being aware of the
Communications, and I found that there was this Tess Schaffer, who's a Director of Human Resources and Benefits with L3 Communications. If you Google them, you'll find out more about them. I'm just talking about them briefly now. I'm not going to go into any detail. She's also a marketing analyst for Rothschild. Right, so there we have one connection already. Now, there's also another connection with Fox Rothschild, is a law firm, the Rothschild law firm, is listed as the attorney for L3 Communications, a patent for the flight recorder.
So, it's like becoming aware. Once you're aware, what is it that one is meant to do with the knowledge that you have become aware of? So.
Again, from the I also think there's a connection in Rothschild, their Fidelity. The Bill Rothschild is a senior financial advisor or something for Fidelity, and their Fidelity is acting as the brokerage for L3 Communications. It was acting as the brokerage during their transition from paper traded stock to digitally traded stock. And also,
it's like a
this directly related to Rothschild, but this Michael T. Strianis, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but you'll find him in the board of directors. He's the chairman of L3 Communications, and he's also a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. So already we've got globalist connections.
Yeah. Sticky connections.
Many more examples of how things are looking back to Rothschilds with Reuters, for example, the law firms involved with that. There's a guy called Andrew Knight. If you Google him, you look into who he is. I think he's got direct connection with the Rothschilds as well. Then you've got George Soros with the Tides Foundation through his Open Society Foundation. This was going back to... I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, and it's probably...
I'll bring you back into another show,
but I could, as I say, I could go on and on about these things and tell you about all the connections I found, and it would take forever. So I won't do that now. But
Dawn, if I can I just step in there? Dawn, you just mentioned George Soros. Dom has been wise enough to pick up on the fact that these players, these Zionist players, they're playing, they've foreseen the reaction of people waking up to in fact, there are PDF documents online telling people that they had predicted that there might well be some resistance to people's sovereignty being stolen away from them, in their own words, on their own documents online. So George Soros basically funded, it would appear, the entirety of the Occupy Wall Street that then
yes, that's
seemed
what I was getting to. Can I interject for a sec? Right,
Okay,
what I was going to say there was George Soros' Open Society Foundation set up Tides Foundation, which is basically a pass-through money laundering a cover-up for like Rockefeller Foundation, Gates Foundation, Kellogg's Foundation, and the Ford Foundation. Now, this Tides Foundation funded Adbusters Media Foundation, and they were the first ones to put out the call for Occupy Wall Street. So there you have the Rothschild agent, George Soros, funding, and then you've got connections to Rockefeller, your connections to all the ones that are listed there, Ford, Bill Gates, whatnot, and a big corporation that's Kellogg's as well. So everything's linking back. When I looked into the Tides Foundation board of directors, I also found that there's this woman, Melissa Bradley or something. She's a CEO, and she's a senior strategist for the White House Green Agenda. So there you've got the scam, the carbon cap and trade scam. That's all linking in, and everybody's just connected to each other. And I found connections also with JP Morgan and Chase. There was something about them giving the NYPD during the Occupy about $4 million or something, or dollars, to help fund them to take against the protesters.
It's like the cream of the crop, and the cream of the crop are put into a fishing net and scooped up and then taken away and trained for the corporate entities. So, I found that when we were talking about Gladio, the Spanish Revolution, that was used to scoop the best of the crop of the Spanish men who were on the front line. So, and like you said, you mentioned Occupy, the same thing. It's a
sorry to interrupt. I want to say something just before I forget about the JP Morgan and Chase. The reason I brought it up is obviously, apart from what I've just said, there was a woman on the board of directors of Tides who used to work for JP Morgan and Chase. So there was a connection there with JP Morgan and Chase. Just to clarify.
Yeah, so, I've sort of been thinking that, with the Occupy and Anonymous and, who's watching this and the frontline men and women, just being scooped up and retrained, because generally it's a younger generation.
It's amazingly easy.
Anonymous is something different.
But there'll be somebody in the background watching.
Anonymous is not funded. Anonymous is just a whole lot of different people doing a whole lot of different things.
I concur.
Another thing we used to say was autonomous. Yeah, we used to have autonomous groups in the protest movement. So you didn't have an organisation which could be attacked. This supposedly is how terrorist cells also work, and it's also the way that all the spy agencies and all that kind of thing work. They have autonomous cells that go off and do their own thing, and this is what Anonymous is. Anonymous is autonomous, and it's you can't say, well, yes, of course. Anonymous is infiltrated. Everything everywhere is infiltrated. It doesn't matter, some of the actions, that's false flag stuff, sure. But we can generally see from the actions whether this is...
Implants, prisoner, it's called swarm effect. We just seem to justify... Yeah, swarm effect. You can affect one plant and the other plants react to the infection, even though they haven't got it. Swarm effect. It's been documented quite a lot now. But when we look at it in people, and that's what all Anonymous is, a swarm effect, like anything else. And the takedown of Tate and Lyle's sugar monopoly, we stopped buying the sugar. We refused to buy it. We can do the same thing with the Palestine and West Bank goods. That was mentioned in chat.
Yeah, just got to stop shopping.
We can just swap effect.
Just get your existential needs. Work out what your existential, i.e., to exist, needs are, and cut out all the rest of your shopping. That will bring the whole system to a halt just like that.
Well, that brings it back to the bare basics, which is food, water, and shelter.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think people need to learn.
Not because I exist on chocolate, but I know I'd get killed if I didn't put chocolate on the list.
It's always going back to basics, like you're saying. People are too dependent on things they don't need these days.
You know what? That doesn't mean having to give up smoking. No.
Oh, we've all got our vices. No,
don't be doing that, Ellie.
I don't. You're allowed to have one cig.
We have to be as creative as we possibly can be in these times, in every single direction possible, and that means supplying our own smoke and our own food and our own houses and our own energy and our own compassion for the planet and each other.
And working towards being as independent as possible outside the system, basically.
Yeah.
Realistically possible, obviously. There's some things internet.
In fact, what we've got to do is realise that we are interdependent. Yeah, we are interdependent.
Yeah, you
instead
can't
of
do
all
that.
this codependency and stuff that we've got.
Yeah, it's the best way to kind of see that is like if you look at the body systems and how they're interdependent, like all your organs are interdependent with each other, basically. Like if you didn't have a brain working, then your whole you wouldn't survive, basically. You need everything to be working.
I've gone and left it too late now to speak because I've got like a couple of ideas backed up now.
Yeah. That's look. We haven't got loads of time left, but look, make a note of them. We've only got 10 minutes. Yeah,
I've just been quiet for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Make a note, man. Come back and do it. It's been great having you with us and everyone else.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, okay.
Well, this is what makes it. Okay. This is what really does make it. So there's a few out there who've hardly said a word. There's only having a few minutes on the clock left, really, and we can always run over if that's necessary. But we're trying to kind of at least try and keep to some form of schedule. We're a bit rubbish, aren't we, really, at schedule? But hey, we're spontaneous. It's that creative energy. It's that creative energy that Callie mentioned there. You know, I've got to agree with her. It's about, and if you can't create it, at least manipulate it into something creative, you know? So anyway, on that note, we've got Bob sat there. He's hardly said a word. We've got commonly known as Mother, and I do love that. Who've hardly said anything. Ty said, I'm on the Darkcity. That's his quote for the evening. That might be him done, though. And we've got Dom who joined us, and he's hardly said a word as well. He has chipped in a few little nuggets, though.
Dom must have got so exhausted with that recent interview there with Ian R. Crane, Dom.
Brilliant interviews, both of them. Yes, both. Yes, I enjoyed both.
I was actually trying to get to speak with him myself when I was on the radio, Bob, but I never actually succeeded.
That's good, man. We'll get Dom to have a word for you. You get on here.
I'm the one giving him contact, Bob. Jesus.
You know, there's like hundreds of commonly known as online now as a screen name. The best one I've seen so far is it's by one of my favourite trolls, actually. And he made a video and he started calling me commonly known as Dom by his mum. And I thought that was a good one.
Special, aren't you?
And just so that I do statement now, we're in a time of the monies have been pushed into securities. There are two types of securities: the bond and their, as in James Bond, the bonds that make money, and their security industry. And since 2001, the entire globe has been in a false war on paranoia of what exactly is a terrorist, a freedom fighter. And that's the psychological problem that everyone has to face, because clearly all those who are involved in secret undercover police work, in GCHQ right now listening in, CIA in America, FBI, they actually think they've got some kind of valid role to play. And they don't, except for that of throwing out violence and fear constantly. But, it disgusts me.
I laugh in the face of fear.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I do, man. I'm from the school of Monty Python.
And the other thing was that I've tried myself to endeavour to get onto communities throughout the UK, some, and I've been very disappointed. Dom, I wanted to ask Dom as well. At least Dom actually tried, as you're probably well aware there, Bob, to get a nomadic freeman tribe together, roaming around the UK. Because of his understanding and because he knew that there was a necessity for that, but it seemed to run flat because, I don't know, any number of different reasons. So, at least he made an effort there. But communities-wise, for what I bumped into, except for maybe one that is challenging the alleged authority of councils owning the land, which you're spot on, Bob.
No. There was a really famous one called Ruby Ridge, and they were standing up to the New World Order. Google Ruby Ridge.
That's right.
In America?
Yeah.
And Rainbow Camp. Rainbow Camp as well, Dom. Seen them in the United States. Standing up. Some people walking against firearms. Just shouting. They were under the Constitution or something. I can't remember what they were shouting, but they moved together as one, surrounded the authorities, and the authorities ran away.
You just remind me.
Rainbow Camp.
Have we got any Americans here on this call at the moment?
No, we lost the American early on.
No, Ruthann had to go because she has to get ready for a radio show. But obviously everyone's talking, so she couldn't really say goodbye properly.
Okay, well, summon you one up. Do you want us to summon you one up? We can summon up an American or two. We've got some really good American colleagues. We really have. I'm made up, me, with this. I'm made up with all of you and what's happening. I've had it a bit rough, and to actually be involved with such, I don't know, mind-boggling people you are. I look at you as one source of information, and my mind has been completely unfolded over the last few weeks. It really has, and you've all given me. Well, I don't want to say hope, because I don't really have a future. I try to live in the moment as much as I can. But what I've witnessed over the last few weeks, since we got into this adventure, has been, thanks. Thanks to all of you, I mean that. I really do.
Yeah, and you've been listening to Darkcity Radio, and you're not here alone. You're not on your own. We're in this together. So small things make big changes.
You're going to help me sleep well tonight, Susan. Yeah. I'm going to be thinking about your voice.
Secret weapon,
very soothing, isn't it?
Yeah, in a nice way.
Should be doing a jingle.
Yes, it would be good. Yes, it would be good. Yeah. I see a very bright future if we could take over the offices and entirety of the equipment within the BBC London Centre. I've got many technical friends, producers worldwide that it would be the creative. Of just volcano. Odin, stop.
You've got to kind of get your sights set right, man. We're already doing that here. We're better than anything they could possibly offer, right? We're fledgling. We are fledgling, right? We're like children, right? We don't know how to run a media station. We don't know, But I tell you what, we're doing it. All of us. That's the crack. We've got servers being built, people have come together with what's needed. And I've got to admit it, sometimes that's been money. Money's had to do it, other times it hasn't. The server tonight, what we're using is on an old Windows machine, and it's stable, I'm sure you'll all agree. Tonight it's been great, and that is thanks to someone coming along and giving us their old memory. Their old memory. God. Hey, come on, how significant is that? Their old memory keeps us afloat again. So that's what it's about. We're doing it. Don't forget the BBC, forget the ITV. It won't take us long if we carry on like this. Before we won't, there'll just be a thing of our past, an old memory.
Yes, like a book. The page has been written, the words have been said, and it's a new chapter. So what is it we're writing? So small things, and we all make a change. Even though you don't hear the good news that some people, the little changes that go ahead that we don't hear about. So I like to hear about that as well. The people who are out there actually making the change. Little changes granted, but together we make a big change. So, yeah, anyone listening, please do call in and tell us, how far you've gotten with making a change. So, and thank you to the guests, thank you to the listeners, and thank you to everybody who contributed to now.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the people who've provided the music for us, S-Man, Albert Clark, Defire Monkey, Flux. The list getting longer. And one last little thing I want to mention again, I've not mentioned it before, is to Dan. He's a drummer also, the guy who's helped us out with the Linux. Yeah, you know what can we say? Brilliant. We've asked for help, something I've had to learn to do, and sure enough, it's turned up more every time. It's been better and bigger and shinier every time. What's to stop it? Only us. We're the only ones that actually stop our natural creative ability. All we need is that little opportunity, that little tiny crack to allow ourselves to blossom. We don't know who we're going to be. Well, I don't. If you do know, right, well, will you please get in touch and let me know. Dark City Radio, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you really soon.